Hey guys, this is Chetan,
And this is Abby.
and welcome back to the Unprofessionals. So we just had one of our first days of college football, week one happen, and now we're going to break down the biggest games of this weekend. Starting with tonight at 6 p.m. We're recording this at 5:26, so it will be on in 34 minutes. Number 10, North Carolina versus the Virginia Tech Hokies. So what we know about number 10 North Carolina is Sam Howell is their quarterback. They've lost two running backs and two wide receivers to the NFL. But they are a minus 5.5 favorites. And let's be honest here, I don't think either of us have anything bad to say about North Carolina. Mac Brown, when he got there, he's been building up this program and he's built it into a ranked contender. Abby, what are your thoughts on this game?
Oh man, we may be. Like yesterday, we had Ohio State, Minnesota, and great first half. Minnesota had a chance, but then their man Abraham got injured. Unfortunate, one of the best backs, if not the best back in college football. He got hurt. It's sad to see. Ever since he went out in the third quarter, it was over. It was a wrap. They couldn't really do anything. They don't have the best receivers, but they gave Ohio State a fight. And Ohio State had everyone playing. Listen, Virginia Tech, I'm not gonna pretend to think they're like they have a lot of returning players. Their quarterback transferred to, I forgot what he went to, but Khalil Herbert, he transferred. So last year these two teams played in North Carolina. North Carolina had all their players. I think they won by 8 points. It was 54-46. It was a shootout of epic proportion. North Carolina had like a 20-plus point lead in that game, and then Virginia Tech came back, but they lost the end. I smell upset, bro. Sam Howell is the best. He could be the first pick, to be honest. He could be the first pick. Spencer Rattler. There's a lot of guys in that conversation. But, bro, you lost Dwame Brown. I think he's on Washington with Fitzmagic. You lost Daz Newsome, who went to the Chicago Bears, if I'm not mistaken. You lost both running backs. Michael Carter, one of them is with the Jets. The other is with Michael Williams, is with the Broncos.
Yep.
So you lost both backs, both receivers. One of the receivers that's supposed to replace them is hurt. I don't think he's playing. Bro, at some point, like you don't have they have everyone returning on defense except Chaz Surratt, who's a Minnesota Viking. Shout out Vikings. Gotta give my man shout out. But listen, hostile environment. We're gonna see this all week. Everyone's going crazy. Like yesterday, UCF and Boise State, 2-hour rain delay, and they still came through. They didn't go home because they know what? They knew that for the past year plus they've been home. They stayed. They had a great game. UCF pulled it off. Obviously, we had that as a play. Separate issue. Fill your pockets. Check it out. We had that as a play yesterday. And I see that happening with a lot of teams where home field now means something, in my opinion. Home field's worth like 3-4 points, maybe an extra point this year. So if I had to pick this game, I would probably lean toward Virginia Tech, to be honest. I expect a great game tonight.
So you're starting off with an upset.
Yes, sir. I would not be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised at either outcome.
All right, let's move on to the second game. Number 12, Wisconsin opens season against number 19, Penn State. So the line, according to ESPN right now, is 5.5. In the series between the two, Penn State is 10-9. Penn State has won the last 5 games against Wisconsin. The last win for Wisconsin against Penn State came in 2011. And a couple other factors to note. Both teams struggled last year. Wisconsin being 4-3, Penn State finishing 4-5.
Yep.
Wisconsin has won its last 25 home openers.
Ooh, that's a damn. Chetan bringing the stats.
However, they're 4-5 when they open their home schedule against the Big Ten team.
Oh, that scares me now. Oh, we got contradiction going there.
Yeah, because the last time Wisconsin played a Big Ten team
So
in a
when was the last time they lost a home opener since they've won their last 25?
So yeah, no, the way ESPN stated is weird because they haven't played a Big Ten team in a season opener since 1981.
Oh my goodness. I was not even thought of.
Yeah, so 25 years. You're talking me and you are 26. So just
40
add a
years
year
ago.
to that.
40 years ago.
So they haven't done it since what 96. They haven't lost a home opener since 96.
All right. So with that information being said, to be honest, you know how I feel about trends and these numbers. I feel each game is its own entity. That's the great stat. No, just I'm being honest. Those are great stats, bro. Credit to you. That 25 straight home opener. That's a phenomenal stat. But let's be honest here. That stat will eventually get broken, just like every single stat. There is no finite stat that I've ever seen. Something always happens.
Yeah.
But in this case, think about it, not trying to make a tangent here, but think about it. In the tournament, NCAA tournament basketball, a 16 never beat a 1 until we saw it happen, right? A 16 beat a 1. So each entity is its own entity. So with that being said, I'm still picking Wisconsin to win their home game.
Yeah.
Because, like I said earlier, home field, bro, especially with these big schools, these Power 5 schools, home field is going to be crazy. That place is going to be roaring. Penn State's returning a lot of their players. Sean Clifford, quarterback, they got a new OC. His name's escaping me right now, but he's thought of very highly. Obviously, for Wisconsin, Graham Mertz was thought of as one of the next big quarterbacks. He had a great debut against Illinois and then just fell flat. Their defense is returning nearly everyone. That defense is amazing in Wisconsin. Penn State, I'm not so sure of. But as we know, Wisconsin is known for their running backs, right? Melvin Gordon, James White, Jonathan Taylor. They've had running backs in Monty Ball. All these running backs coming out of Wisconsin. But recently, not recently, because obviously Jonathan Taylor came out 2 years ago. But this year, they're not thought of for the running game. So, but still, they're going to run the ball. That's what the head coach has said. And listen, man, just off of week 1, the fans returning. This is not your regular home opener. Obviously, Big Ten game. Hey, I think watching Ohio State, some of these teams probably think now, they can be had. Yeah. They can be had. That defense is sus. That offense is fantastic. They got the best receiving core possibly in college football. But if Minnesota can drop 31 on you, and they don't got Rashad Bateman, a guy that we both loved last year, who we both said Baltimore, pick this man up, and we spoke into existence. They don't got Rashad Bateman anymore. They don't have Tyler Johnson, who's on the Tampa Bay Bucks anymore. And they dropped 31 on them. So I think Wisconsin, Penn State, a lot of these teams probably paying attention. Ohio State could possibly be had. All they got to do is slip up once. But for this game right here, I think Wisconsin, you could say I'm taking chalk, but I think Wisconsin is going to win this game.
All right, moving on to the next game. This one, its spread is incredible. 19.5-point favorites, Alabama stands at. And they're looking for their 20th consecutive season opening win. It hasn't been a game under 500 since the end of the 2006 season. That is the season before Nick Saban took over.
Can you say that again? My bad. Can you say that? Could you repeat that?
They haven't been a game under 500 since the end of 2006.
Oh, my God. What you're saying is they ain't losing?
Pretty much. What else is, let's see. This is probably Miami's biggest game in the last 20 years.
No, I'm going to have to argue there. Do you remember a couple, like 4 or 5 years ago when they played Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Remember the victory chain? Turnover chain. Remember when that first came out?
Yeah.
That was like when they were like, Miami's back. Well, guess what? They weren't back, but still. But I understand what you're trying to say. Yeah, this is not the Ed Reed, Ray Lewis.
Yeah, this is not what it was in 2000.
Greg Olson and them boys.
Yeah, not what it was in the late 90s, early 2000s. A couple key stats. Miami's starting offensive line has a collective 159 career starts between them. Miami has returned returned 10 of their offensive starters, while Alabama has had 21 sacks in their final 5 games of the last season. And then just a couple more things. Alabama seeking its 99th win as number 1 ranked in the AP polls. Miami is 5-11 all time when facing the AP national champion from the previous year, including 0-2 against Alabama, losing those games by a combined score of 66-3. How do you take that, Abby?
Chetan, I'm gonna keep this very sweet and quick. We have other games to discuss here. I'm gonna say this easy. Roll Tide. Come on, man.
Yeah, there's literally.
I have nothing to say here. They're going to win this game. There's no, like you even said, there's no way Nick Saban's losing game 1. He ain't losing no. Hey, Derek King, I love him. He's a solid player. Man knows how to be. He's a businessman. If anyone's keeping up, his NIL deals are just piling up. He knows how to make money. Props to him. But listen, man, I understand they lost Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, Mac Jones, Alex Leatherwood, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, bro, come on, man. I don't give a shit. They're not going to lose this game. It's huge spread, so-called primetime game. A primetime game where there's a 20-point favorite. That's not a primetime game. You're just trying to like put lipstick on a pig. I'm sorry. That's what you're trying to do here. Alabama, if they lose, I would be shocked. I understand I've been talking about home field, but I don't think in this situation, 19.5-point favorite, the line's only going up, that they're going to lose this game.
All right. Moving on to the next game. Number 17, Indiana Hoosiers versus number 18, Iowa, the Hawks. So the line is Iowa's favorites 3.5 points. Iowa also leads the series between them two 45, 28, and 4. This is the first time they're playing each other while they're ranked since 1991. Iowa has won 22 straight games without surrendering 25 points. And that's pretty much everything I can give you. Indiana has won 11 of its last 14 league games. That's everything you need to know. I was a little surprised that, hey, Indiana is ranked higher, but they're the underdogs in this game.
Yeah, I don't know why Indiana is ranked higher. That's all off reputation from last year. They lost a lot of players. The quarterback tore his ACL. I'm pretty sure he's not playing tomorrow. I would be shocked if he does. I'm pretty sure he's not. Just double check that. But Michael Penix, I don't think he's playing. And even if he was, I still don't think that makes a difference. Iowa at home, they're one of the best home teams in the country. They usually start off slow and then they rebound. I don't expect that to happen this time. Iowa, that defense is amazing. They're the NFL version of a college team. They're gonna play defense. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna play action. They're gonna keep the score down. Their fan base is absolutely crazy. Iowa football is a lot. Like we saw the Field of Dreams game for baseball. Now think about that in football. Iowa football is almost everything there. Iowa State, another team, obviously that's huge this year. Both these two programs are at the top of their games right now. But I'm sorry, I think Iowa is going to easily win this game.
So Michael Penix will be playing.
Really?
Yep. So he makes his return, missing the Hoosiers' last 2 games because of a torn ACL in his right knee. So he will be playing.
Fast recovery.
I mean, yeah, cause he got hurt last November.
Yeah, that's still, bro. That's what? That's 10 months?
10, 11 months, yeah. It might have been it might have been late October, but yeah, it's only been 10, 11 months.
Even if he is playing, there's no way he's been working on his game. He's really been rehabbing. So I still think this is his first action since the injury. I think still this benefits Iowa, in my opinion. My bad. Before you go, similar to Joe Burrow in the NFL.
Yeah, and the reason I brought that up is because Iowa's secondary, all 4 starters are back.
Yes, sir.
So he's not playing like, incoming freshmen or like redshirt freshmen or redshirt sophomores. He's playing people that have played last year. So that's something to look forward to. Is
I think Iowa ended their season last year on like a 6 or 8 game winning streak.
Yeah, I think so too. Give me a second. Let me just double check that. They finished last year. Yeah, so they finished on a 6 game win streak. And then the game against Michigan and Missouri were canceled.
All right, now we're going to get down to Louisiana versus Texas. This is the mind-blasting, mind-blowing, mind-boggling game of the day. Texas is an 8-point, 9-point favorite. The line keeps moving up in their favor.
Yep.
Listen, man, this is a game where I have no idea why the line is so huge. It scares me because it shouldn't be, in my opinion. I must be going crazy because Louisiana last year, COVID season, opening day, they went to Iowa State and beat the brakes off of them. Iowa State ended up being ranked, I think, top 10 in the country. But Louisiana went there and destroyed them. So you're going to Texas. Texas's quarterback, I still don't think they named their starter. And whoever it is there. He's going to be a new quarterback because obviously, what's it called? Sam Ellinger, he's down in the NFL.
Yeah, it's going to be a Hudson Card.
Yeah, that's a great football name, but I don't know about his game. Texas, obviously, they have one of the best running backs in the country. In what's his name again? I think it's Brandon something Jones. I forgot his name. He is one of the best backs in college football. I remember that. So they have that going for them. Steve Sarkisian coming from Alabama. Listen, man, I don't really care if you're coming from Alabama. Everyone from Alabama looks amazing. You got to coach NFL players, not 5 stars. You got to coach NFL players. Nick Saban is the head coach there. Same thing with New England. You rarely see head coaches or assistant coaches from New England becoming successful. Brian Flores right now being the exception, and Mike Vrabel kind of being the exception. But all in all, this game does not make sense to me. Louisiana was consistently good last year, and this game scares me. I'm most likely going to be picking as my own personal picks. I'm going to be picking possibly Louisiana, but this line staying where it is scares me in terms of why I understand obviously home field. We've been discussing that this whole episode, but Texas ain't good, bro. They can start the season 0-2. They got Arkansas next week. Arkansas got a nasty defense. That's at Arkansas. So I think maybe they view it as they have to win this game because they're likely going to lose the following week. So I don't know. This game is going to have my attention for sure.
I mean, I think the big thing here is what I'm reading is Louisiana Lafayette returning 20 starters.
Yup.
And they were 10-1 last year.
Yup.
And like you said, they won that road game in Iowa State.
They dogged them.
Right. And I guess the biggest part of Sarkisian's offense is Bijan Robinson, the running back.
That's the guy, my bad, Robinson.
He had, in his last 2 games last season, 19 carries for 355 yards.
He's their phenom.
So they're pretty much, it looks like everyone is just assuming he'll run over everyone just like he did last year because he's supposed to be one of the Heisman favorites. But just from what we saw last year, Louisiana seems like the pick here because they had a strong season and you're putting out a guy who hasn't started a college game against a veteran defense.
Now, I think we both agree with this game is very intriguing in our opinion. So be careful if you're picking this game. If you're picking Texas, you never know. Now we get to the biggest games. There's 2 games, but the biggest game period in terms of ramifications is Georgia at Clemson. Wow, I can't remember a matchup like this in a long, long, long time. I really don't. The last time there was a game hyped this much was Florida State at Alabama. This was like a couple years ago. Like 5 years ago. But that game was an epic meltdown because Florida State ended up being garbage that season. I don't expect that for either one of these 2 teams, barring injury, knock on wood. We got my personal thoughts on this game. It's time. Georgia, Kirby Smart, it's time. You have to win this game. If you win this game, you're likely going to win out, and you'll be in the SEC championship game. This is the biggest game for you. I don't think Clemson is their biggest game because if they lose this game, they can still win out every single game.
Yep.
and then they play most likely North Carolina in the ACC championship game, and then that would be their easy ticket into the playoff. All my biggest factor in this game is obviously the one. Besides that, is that Georgia not having their top 3 receivers is scary, in my opinion. They have their running back Zaire White. They have their O-line fully back JT Daniels, 4-0 last year when he was playing. The defense is always nasty. Clemson, Justin Ross, spinal injury was scary last year. I think he may play. He only played in one scrimmage, from what I read. They have obviously new quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is gone. New running back. Travis Etienne is gone. Defense. Their defensive line is supposed to be nasty, from what I've read. They got some dogs back there in the D line. Secondary, not don't know so much. But my takeaway for this game is the last 2 times we've seen Clemson in big games, they folded. Now, that being Ohio State, dogging them. We picked that game. We both had Justin Fields back in that game. I still remember it clear as day. And then prior to that was versus Joe Burrow in the championship game. They folded both those games. Those were big games. They had not played. Don't give me Notre Dame as being a big game. That was not a big game, in my opinion. When they played them in the ACC championship game last year, that was not a big game. Notre Dame had a great record. They were frauds. Listen, no, I'm not trying to say they were frauds. My bad. They were a very good team. They were not a top 4 team. Oklahoma should have been the team in the playoff, but they had those losses. But they were a team that should have been it. In terms of being known as, Clemson has only won when they weren't favored. Deshaun Watson, with what he did. They lost first time against Alabama, second time around, revenge. And we all know the type of player Deshaun Watson is. And obviously, this new stuff going on with him, that's a separate issue. But we all know the talent that he is. Trevor Lawrence, when they won his first year starting, no one expected him to win.
Yeah, plus he only started half the season.
His first year? No. What do you mean?
Are you sure? I'm pretty.
Oh yeah, Kelly Bryant left and he started.
He started.
No.
Did he?
I'll have to. Actually, I think you may be right. Where they benched him, they started Trevor Lawrence. You could be right there, but the point being that they were not. That was Tua's first year starting, and Alabama got destroyed. So every time Clemson has been counted out, that's when they've been at their best. This is now. Everyone knows how Clemson is now. So I think with that being said, I think Georgia, they're not the favorites here. 3-point favorites. If you're betting this game, 3.5, very key number. You have to wait for that, find that number, and try to bet that, in my opinion. But I think Georgia wins this game outright.
Yeah. So just saying, Trevor Lawrence started his final 11 games of his freshman year.
Kelly Bryant ended up, he got his job taken.
Yeah. So just key players to look out for, obviously, DJ Uyulangale.
Yep. Oh, I said that name right.
Against that Georgia defensive line, who is returning tackles Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt, as well as ends Jalen Carter and Trayvon Walker. The big guy to watch out for Clemson is defensive tackle Brian Breesy. And what ESPN is saying about him, they compare him to Dexter Lawrence. He's fast, quick, can get to the can penetrate the line just the same way Dexter Lawrence did. But also another player to watch out, Georgia's quarterback.
Yup.
Kendrick was a starter at Clemson and was projected to be a first-round pick. Oh,
yes, you're right.
Before he was dismissed from the Tigers. So, those are the guys to watch out for in this game. But
and now we're gonna get.
I agree with you here. Georgia has to win this game. I think that's the biggest thing that we said, because Clemson, they can literally win out, beat North Carolina in the ACC game, and no one is going to remember week 1. But if Georgia loses week 1, it's going to be talk of the town the entire time. Will they be in the top 4? Will they not? That's what it pretty much ends up being.
Completely agreed. And now we get to the final game of this slate tomorrow that I feel is the best. This is the most fun matchup for me, because what LSU team are we going to see? Chip Kelly with the visor He's bringing it back UCLA. Obviously, remember his stint with the Eagles. That was an epic failure. San Francisco 49ers, epic failure. But as a college coach with Oregon and Marcus Mariota, this man was phenomenal. They won a national championship game. They won a championship, I think, right?
No, they made it to 2 championship games. They lost.
I know Marcus Mariota. He lost against Ohio State. I thought he won one. Okay, I could be mistaken. But regardless, he is a fantastic college coach. He has turned this UCLA program around. Robinson, the quarterback, he's had high praise for the past couple of years. That running game is strong. They destroyed Hawaii. They played in week 0. That defense looked fast. Swarming is the key word that people keep using. Now LSU, Joe Burrow is gone. Justin Jefferson is gone. He's a Minnesota Viking, my favorite team, as everyone knows here. Jamar Chase, he can't catch the ball anymore, but he's gone. He was catching the ball pretty damn well for the LSU Tigers. Moss, Randy Moss's son, he's gone. Terrence Marshall, he's gone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's gone. So they got Patrick Queen from the defense, he's gone. Grant Delpit, he's gone. They got a lot of guys from 2 years ago, just 2 years ago. This is a completely different team. And I understand they have the best corners in football. Derek Stingley is going to be a top 5 pick. That man is a shutdown corner. And I can't remember the other corner's name, but they do have the best duo. Their D-line and linebackers are questionable. And what's the number one thing that the UCLA is going to do? They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to run it again. And that's where I feel this matchup favors UCLA. Not to say, obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Louisiana. Obviously, here in Jersey, we just dealt with flooding because of after effects of that hurricane. Everyone, obviously, hope everyone is safe. Everyone, obviously, a lot of people have lost so much during this time. But I think that's a huge factor for LSU because, obviously, they're from New Orleans. So God knows what some of these students, some of these coaches have dealt with their families, with their living arrangements, etc. I think that's a huge factor. I think every advantage here points to UCLA, and I am high on UCLA. Chip Kelly, not a fan of the NFL coach, but as a college coach, this man knows what he's doing. He brought the visor back. When he brings the visor back, that means he's serious. I think UCLA primetime game, same time, 1 hour after Georgia. So I hate that it's almost all at the same time, but you got to watch it. College football, bro. We've been waiting for football for a long time. Doesn't matter. We enjoy this shit. So I think UCLA, they're not the favorites. Home underdogs, come on, man. Give me them all day. I am taking UCLA in this matchup.
Right. Yep. Just a couple of things to point out in this game. Let's see. Obviously, you pointed out the running attack for UCLA.
Oh, also one more thing. And LSU, their best receiver, he is playing, but the rest of the receiving core is questionable.
Yep. And the big thing here for just the comparison, the running game versus the defensive line, the LSU defensive line brings in freshman Mason Smith. He's going to be an interior lineman. He's the top recruit of his position. But this whole team is under a new defensive line coach. So like
UDC, this is a first-time defensive coordinator also.
So this is a lot. It's a lot to put on a new team, especially when the ground game.
Yeah, you ain't playing Rutgers, bro. You ain't playing Rutgers week 1. You playing UCLA. These boys can play.
244 yards, 5.7 yards a carry last week. Zach Carbonet? Or
Yep.
106 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Oh, this is a fun game, bro. This is the fun one. Georgia Clemson is the main event, but this is the fun game in my opinion. All the games we went over are really, really, really good. But the nightcap are just pure perfection, especially for week 1.
Do you have a line for this?
I think it's plus 2.5 UCLA, but I would take them outright. Forget the points.
Yeah, forget the point.
If you can get 3.5, take that, obviously, because 3.5 is a very key number, a field goal. But if it's under 3.5, take the money line, in my opinion. LSU, hey, they can win this game. They're LSU. They're ranked 16th in the country. But they have way too many question marks for me to think they're going to flip the script like that, especially with everything that they're dealing with.
On top of that, just like they went from the amount of players they lost in the last
2 years.
2 years. We're not talking about, when we're talking about, let me give you a good example. Texas back in the day was Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley. Those guys didn't make it in the NFL. We're talking Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow. We're not. It's completely different this year because Terrence Marshall, all of those guys, they're all in the NFL right now.
Last thing I would say is if this game was in LSU, I would think differently because obviously they would have the emotional factor. I think playing for their home state would be different. I'll be honest. You could disagree.
No, I think I would agree there, but I don't. I think every team that plays in Louisiana, including like the Saints, are not going to be playing in.
Yeah, nobody's playing at home. Tulane, they just rescheduled. They're playing at Alabama, I think.
No,
it's real bad, bro. It's real bad.
They're playing somewhere in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, I'll talk about their week 2 game.
Oh, week 2, yeah. But I know week 1 they're playing. They played somewhere in Oklahoma. The Saints are playing in Atlanta. So like no one's playing at home. So like if they were still playing at home, it's like completely different from, hey, it's a home game, but they're not at home.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're trying to say there. Yeah, I got you. Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode. Week 1 is here, and then next week we got week 1 of, you know what, NFL, and man, it's finally here. Thursday Night Football, Tom Brady, the GOAT, he's playing. Dallas Cowboys, how's Dak going to react? We're going to get into everything. Obviously, picks. Our picks right now, 28-20. I think we're doing a great job. Free picks, trying to help everybody out here. We're all in this together. This is a hard thing to accomplish. That's why we're doing this for everyone. But enjoy tomorrow, even tonight, North Carolina and Virginia Tech, which is starting in 2 minutes, actually. So, all in all, stay tuned and peace out.